Ben Carson did something unusual the other day. He threw a hard jab when a reporter asked him what differentiates him from Donald Trump.
And I don't in any way deny my faith in God. And I think that probably is a big differentiator.
Can you expand on that? You don't believe his faith is sincere when he's made comments about it?
I haven't heard it. I haven't seen it.
I mean, frankly, he makes Bush look like the Energizer Bunny. Who is he to question my faith when I am, he doesn't even know me. I've met him a few times, but I don't know Ben Carson. He was a doctor, perhaps an okay doctor, by the way.
I spoke to the doctor earlier from St. Louis. Ben Carson, welcome.
Thank you.
After your dust up with Donald Trump, and we're not going to relitigate it here, you told the Washington Post the media frequently want to goad people into wars, into gladiator fights. Are you saying that's what happened here? Because it was your words, of course, that were replayed again and again.
Yeah, I shouldn't have taken the bait. In fact, they asked 2, 3, 4 times, what's the difference? And, I should have just let it go.
Just one follow-up on this. I mean, after you did question Donald Trump's fate, you talked to the Washington Post and you apologized. And you said if he took it as a personal attack, you were sorry. Most candidates try to avoid apologizing. Isn't a campaign about contrasts?
Well, if I do something wrong, I will always admit it. And that was an arena that I really shouldn't have gone into. Certainly should never question someone's faith. That's between them and God.
I think a lot of people will find that refreshing, saying you or did something wrong and you were sorry. You've said that the press in covering this campaign has distorted things at times against Republicans. Since you're undoubtedly going to get a lot more media scrutiny now that you're rising in the polls, will this be a big obstacle for you?
I don't think so. I'm perfectly happy to face intense scrutiny. The good thing is there are no skeletons for anybody to find. And all I have to do is continue to tell the truth. I don't have to try to remember what I said 3 months ago. And it really takes a lot of the stress out of it.
Telling the truth is certainly easier. Now, you were in Ferguson on Friday talking about race relations. You wrote in USA Today that the Democratic Party shouldn't tell black people they need government to feed and clothe and house them, and that the Republican Party has ignored black people for too long. So is the GOP part of the problem?
There's no question that the GOP has a very excellent opportunity by paying attention to some of the communities that they have neglected and informing them about the history of the GOP. In fact, a party that was formed as an abolitionist party, a party that worked hard to get gun rights for freedmen, a party that pushed civil rights and voting rights. And many luminary figures in the black community have been members of the Republican Party, a party that should push for hard work and self-reliance and mechanisms for removing oneself from a state of dependency to becoming a part of the fabric of America.
Right. Now, you've been trying to de-emphasize race. You said in Ferguson that a lot of people see things through racial eyes, but it doesn't have to be that way. That's a great aspiration. But you're running for the nomination of a party that's gotten between 1% and 7% of the black vote in the last 4 presidential elections. How much can you do to change that?
Well, I believe that black people, just like any other people in our country, are listening. And they're looking for solutions. And they're not going to just blindly follow someone because they say, do what I tell you to do. So I believe that if we actually pay attention to them and we actually explain to them the mechanisms whereby we're going to get business and industry and academia and Wall Street and churches and community groups to invest in people, recognizing that for every person that we can keep from going down the wrong pathway, that's one more productive member of society who may discover a new energy source or a cure for cancer.
Dr. Carson, you made some mistakes in early interviews in this campaign. You likened Obamacare to slavery. You talked about homosexuality being a choice because you said some men went into prison and came out gay. And then you've stopped doing that. Why did you tone down your rhetorical approach?
Because I discovered that people were not able to hear what I was actually saying. They would hone in on key phrases, and these would be things that would be hyped by various people, and they would never actually be able to hear what I was saying. So I've learned how to get my message across without the hyperbole.
Let's talk a little bit about your faith. You told me a while back that you felt called to run, that you were going to retire to your nice home in Florida, and that you said to God, if you'll open the doors, I'll walk through them. Have you always been this way? And do you worry at all that this might be a bit off-putting to people who don't have a deep religious faith?
Well, I believe everybody is entitled to the beliefs that they want to have, and that's why the First Amendment is so important, freedom of religion. People who say that religion has nothing to do with their life probably don't know exactly what religion is. Just because you don't necessarily believe in God or in Jesus doesn't mean that you don't have a religion. Even atheism is a religion. You have something that you believe in without complete evidence that it exists. And it does inform who you are, and it informs how you think, and it informs how you relate to other people. And we need to always protect freedom of religion.
And as a non-politician, as a longtime pediatric neurosurgeon, you have a special appeal in this campaign, and you've risen to second place in most polls. But no one's ever won a competitive primary without throwing some punches and counterpunching when they're attacked. Now, you're kind of a soft-spoken guy. Do you have to do that? Are you willing to do that?
I don't feel any need to really get into the mud, to get into the wrestling match. What I do feel a need to do is to talk about the actual issues, talk about the actual solutions, because I believe our country is actually in a lot of trouble. I believe that's the only reason that I've gotten into this race. That's the only reason that a person like me would even gain traction, because there are enough people who recognize that is in fact the case, and that we're not necessarily looking for traditional politics. We're looking for people who have a history of solving complex problems and of utilizing the resources and the people around them in order to get that done.
Just briefly, is it hard to get attention for talking about the issues, given all the media static out there about the flap of the day?
It does become difficult sometimes when dealing with the media, but that's one of the reasons that I spend a lot of time out there amongst the people. And I've been out there amongst the people for many years, actually, and it's been a tremendous advantage to me because people have had an opportunity to hear me in person and to see who I really am as opposed to who I'm portrayed as by some people who perhaps have different motives.
Dr. Ben Carson, thanks very much for joining us.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.